Good evening and welcome to VI Voices. I'm Emil Henderson with my panelists, my co-panelists, Natalie Nelson Tang Howe, Clint D.W. Ferris, and Boyd McFarland. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So we've had what a week. Tonight we're going to have a full hour of hot topics because so much has happened over the last week since we last taped. And the number one thing, of course, is crime. And we've been talking about crime for some time now. And I'm hoping that we can get to a place where we don't have to talk about crime in the way that we've been talking about it. As you know, there's been 2 murders over the weekend with individuals who have attempted to rob or burglarize the home of somebody else. We've had a shooting of another lady who was the victim of an attempted carjacking. A police officer shot in that same shootout with the 2 gentlemen who died. That involved also a 15-year-old young man, a minor. And so it's like, when is crime going to come to a close? Maybe not a close, but the kind of crime that we've been seeing, when is that going to come to a close?
And it's actually escalating, actually. I think, I'm seeing, more of these kind of heinous type of crimes going on. And that's a concern. I'm not certain if it's a sign of the times in terms of us losing Hovensa and us going into a recession, that we're now feeling the direct impact. I don't know if people are now in desperate straits, because a lot of these crimes seem to be burglary related or robbery related, or somehow, affecting a person in terms of trying to take away their belongings, whether in their home, which is supposed to be your castle, on the streets. I think a family was robbed on the boardwalk or somewhere.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
A
whole family
was robbed.
just walking on the boardwalk.
Was a jump up or something?
This happened just
recently.
This past weekend, and also a young lady with a botched robbery. I believe they shot her in her leg.
Yeah,
did you see
the
that?
carjacking.
So what I'm saying, it's coming to more now of trying to take from people their belongings to the detriment of their lives.
But Natalie, the thing about this is, I've been saying for the longest while, crime didn't just happen.
Right.
We have been dealing with a crime wave since 2007.
Is it not escalating?
Since 2000. If you could recall, in 2010, I think we had a rather large amount of murders in 2010.
It was a record.
Yeah, but we keep deferring it. We're not paying close attention to prevention, to education, and dealing with the crime issue at where it's at. They started Stop the Bleeding campaign. They started to say gangs was in the school, but they were not paying close attention to that. The family were eroding. The economic base of the Virgin Islands were declining at that time. And what we did, we pump money here, pump money there, and instead of really paying close attention to what was ailing the Virgin Islands, we put on a good facade, and we're dealing with it right now. Because you take away Hovensa has exacerbated the economic doldrums within the Virgin Islands. And it's obvious. And not to mention the layoffs and all those other things that came into play. Our economy is in dire straits.
But let me ask this: you think it's fair to put the blame on Hovensa closing? Because I don't think, because Hovensa was open at least for 2 years while this crime rate has been escalating.
No,
but what he's saying, though, which I kind of agree with him, is exacerbated the problem.
Yeah.
Not so much created it, but it was a problem that was already brewing.
It was already there.
Coming. I heard that the commissioner of police this morning had a big meeting with the governor at Government House regarding this wave of crime that occurred over the weekend. I don't really know what, if anything, that does for us, because we need...
I was going to say, I don't think that any of that is going to necessarily do anything. I think the creating of more jails, the spending of funds or monies towards the police, I think all of that is actually Band-Aid and not actually the cure.
But what was the discussion? What was it? Did they say what the discussion was?
I'm not sure what
all I
the discussion was about.
Was that it was regarding the crime wave that occurred over the weekend.
And see, and the thing about it is the crime wave. So this is not the crime sees that these are the incoming tides, that this is a flood, and eventually it's now cresting.
Yes.
And we actually seen it.
Yeah.
Because this has been bubbling there for quite a while. And you see, the thing about it is, it has moved from just happening in Frederickstead town, happening in Williams Delight, happening in Paradise. Now it's up there in Beeston, and it's encroaching upon where? It's encroaching upon Juliet Fancy and Infield.
And so what took so long to have this meeting.
I know.
With the commissioner of police.
And you know, it's scary because
because
No,
we're proactive.
No, but I don't know if it's proactive or reactive.
We
reactive.
Not proactive. I meant reactive.
But I don't know if it's, but you see, here's the thing, you know, that really gets to me. Senator Bryan, you know, he's been on the show here before, and he talks a lot about these issues. And people look at the messenger as opposed to what the message is saying, okay? It's not now that our young men have been being slayed in the street, okay? Killed left, right, and center, and nobody focused on it. Remember when, and not to say that anybody's life is greater than the other, but remember there was the shooting at the Pickled Greek, right? Where there was a robbery, and Desjardins died, right? It was on the front page.
They wanted the name
big issue, all kind of stuff going on because he died. When prior to him, 10 young black men had been killed, and the St. Croix Adverse didn't even put that on the front page, reported as something going wrong. Okay, you have now the influx of the police. Clearly, any respect that you had for the police is. If we didn't know it was gone, we know for now it's gone, because they're not even attempting to run away from the police. They're outright shooting at the police to get to where they need to get to. These police officers have been shot. At least 1, 2, 3 police officers have been shot in a month or at least 6 weeks time period. You just said crimes are now going to be. Crime not happening. We don't know anything like that happening in Beeston Hill area. Those other areas are a little bit more affluent. Now you having a meeting to talk about crime. When our young men and young women have been beaten and slain from however long it's been going on.
Let me tell you part of what I look at though. A lot of times it appears that the crimes are gang related, or they somehow know each other. It's retaliation, and it's within a certain age group of young men. So you kind of see the cycle. But I think more recently what we've had is just regular citizens, no matter where they live, east, west, mid-island. A young lady that spent all day by me last week got home and met her whole house turned upside and ransacked, and you know, things stolen, and police had to come and all of this type of thing. So it's time to really hit close to home. So now
nobody's immune.
Right, everybody's like, I could be next. That's the kind of feeling is out there. You see what I'm saying? And I think now the police is in a situation that they got to do something, and they got to do something fast. But like you just mentioned, people just don't seem to be afraid. But these perpetrators don't seem to be afraid of the police.
What's currently happening in Virgin Islands ain't nothing new. These types of crimes have been happening in the States forever, in America forever. I think we're just actually starting to reflect that currently. You understand? And maybe because of the economic situation, and maybe because of the lack of education. And when I say education, I ain't talking about no 1, 2, 3, ABC. I mean education to the core of the matter. Education about the knowledge of self and all of that. I believe that is very important, identifying or being having some sense of an identity of who we are. Listen, I used to live in America. I could have stayed in America. I've been in the military 6 years. I got out of the military. I had opportunities in America. I could have stayed in America, but I was running from that mindset, or what we would call here a rat race, per se, because I was looking towards coming back home to be amongst my own. You understand? And when I say my own, I mean those who have that identity and embrace that kind of love that I know that we have as a people, or had, I should say right now. Currently, that's been gone. That's been totally gone, because we're identifying with something else, and we're allowing other people to tell us who we are. We don't grasp that concept of self or identity. We had an identity, we had a culture. Now all you see them is doing is emulating what they see on the TV, or what they see in the media, or what they see in the videos, because the sense of self is gone, it's diminishing.
And I'll tell you,
we don't have that culture.
Not only do I agree with you totally, but look, for example, our administration decides that they have to go off island to bring in the top brass.
Exactly.
That to me is a slap in the face of people.
Of course it is.
And I think that brought down the morale in the police department itself. So they're undermining each other within the department. My understanding is there are factions within the same department.
Of course.
For the commissioner, against the commissioner, and the factions go. So you see, you have that problem right there. Imagine what you expect for the larger society.
I would say this. I remember when I think the administration first began, and it may have come from Turnbull time. I can't remember how it goes, but Officer Winsbert McFarlane.
Yep, right, McFarlane.
Okay. Right. He was, I think, either the chief or whatever. I don't know what his title was at the time.
Yes, chief.
Deputy chief, or he was the chief on St. Croix.
Correct.
And I remember when he was in as that position,
given an acting position, right?
You could have walked anywhere in Federal Town, and nobody did you anything.
Right.
because he had people in officers walking up and down the town. The officers knew the business people. They would come into your office, everything okay, just impromptu, walk into the office, everything okay. Nobody felt fearful. In the night, I've been in my office at that time working late in the night. Never once did I feel fearful that somebody would do me something because I was in town.
But you hit the nail on the head. Winsburg McFarland is a classmate of mine. He graduated from Central High School. He is
homegrown.
Native, homegrown. He can relate to the people.
Yeah, but it's not, not only can he relate, he reminds me of my uncles and those who were police officers, who were police officers. When everybody respected those police officers, and they weren't afraid to walk through Shabbat.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. They didn't nobody to go with them. They didn't go anywhere with them.
About being afraid, I could give you a perfect example. A friend of mine, this was maybe a week ago. The police officers are to blame as well. They have to hold some type of responsibility because of their mannerism or the way they deal with individuals. That this friend of mine I know got pulled over, to make a long story short, and this is a business owner, a family guy. He was on his phone. He was wrong. He been on his phone. He got pulled over. He stopped. The police officer came out. There's people like Ayo. So the attitude, the energy
you know what it
is the energy you're
going to. You want to know what it is? So we have too many bullied police officers who was bullied when they were in school,
right?
And now they have now come onto the force.
Of course.
And they're still being bullied in the force.
You're right. You're right.
Listen,
but we will see it when we get a point of criminal cases. And you can tell the difference between a police officer that's a police officer who knows their work, know why they're there, and somebody who is there and all into the fact that they're a police. It's completely different.
But that could cause the situation to actually,
and that's a problem. Absolutely.
But let's not go back. Let's talk about it. Let's go back to Winsburg McFarland and policing. I recall when Winsburg McFarland took the acting police job.
But you know what they did to him,
right? But it took the acting police job. Let's compare when they started with the saturated patrol. Now, who do saturated patrol and those other patrols at 10, 11 o'clock at night? Because low-hanging fruit. I can remember at night, I'm coming from 2+2. And where was Winsburg McFarland with his roadblock? At the bottom of morning, Star Hill, at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Aren't you trying to change behavior and impact change at that time? Because what do you know? The people who are drunk driving, that's where they're going to be.
That's the time they're doing it.
Moving. Not at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at the head of Christian State. That's why
you set up police for checkpoints at 11 o'clock out by Tide Village East End.
Thank you.
They leave in town. You don't hardly see that.
No, you're right. You don't do it. But McFarland had it unlocked.
And what was the problem? What was the problem? Why did they move Officer McFarland?
It wasn't political.
Absolutely it was. Of course it was.
And totally disregarded.
And you don't play, in my mind, you don't play with the people's safety based on politics.
But we not see that these people they don't have safety in mind when it comes to the people.
They don't.
But when it comes to the people, they don't consider the people. I want to say the people, us, the people. They consider the tourists. That's who they're going to support.
You're going to another part. It wasn't coincidental when I mentioned 2007. Because if you think about it, this is when this administration come into being. This is about 6 months McFarland served. Right. But by about 2000, we started to see a change and a shift. And the last time there was a task force set up, it was a tourist. Remember the young little girl got shot in 2010 by a ricochet bullet?
Right.
Again, we convene. When are the lives of the people that inhabit these islands, who call themselves residents?
That they mean anything?
Yes, when do they mean something? When does this administration start to be proactive and start to put power to bear at this particular
issue? But you can't be proactive when you're political.
Listen, it's chaos, because this morning I was in Frederickstead. There was a large Royal Caribbean cruise ship downtown. Lots of people. I have yet to see one police officer. And I went through waterfront, come back over, got off on King Street, walked back down, came back over, first back. Yet to see one police officer.
But see,
something happened this morning too.
But something I was happening. God, on Saturday night they see them blazing down the road.
Something happened this morning.
I was in crisis mode.
At least 7 from police.
That's the challenge right there. The police department create crisis. I'm telling you, they always creating a crisis. Yes, you have to react to a crime scene. Things happen. But by they reacted, like for instance, Cyan Farm. Remember the other night?
Yes.
2 weekend ago?
Champs.
They by Champs. They shot Cyan Farm down. people couldn't get into their homes.
Or
Out. Don't you then create another crisis right there?
And did they find anybody?
No. But they're always manufacturing crisis, and then they don't want to inform the public nor the press of what's taking place. It's always
but the flip side of that going to be the police saying, well, you want us to do our job, but yet you interfere and saying something negative regarding us doing our job.
And to add to that, you have a situation happen. Like, remember, I was at the emergency room. A lot of people have dengue fever. I was at the emergency room with someone. Someone got shot, a young man, and they wheeled him in and they called whatever they call. But within that period of time, they called the morgue. So you could tell them. But the entire police department was there. For what?
Thank you.
To be nosy?
And see, and
You
then
don't need the whole police department. Then what happens to the rest of the island?
Thank you.
You got me?
And the hospital has its own security now, since they have become more proactive, and that's the problem.
But these are some problems. These are some inherent problems that shouldn't be taking place.
But,
you understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
because now everything else is unmanned, because your whole police force is up in the parking lot and in the hospital to see what's going on.
Correct, but you know what we're trying to say now? The policing isn't just the men just having them react to crime, but it's also community policing, and also about the prevention, and also about really putting dollars to making our economy work.
I hear you
and
there,
all that stuff.
but the community policing, which is, to me, is vital.
It is.
That's almost non-existent because nobody wants to talk.
Yeah, but
nobody wants to come forward. People, because why? They just don't feel protected.
But it goes back to, remember now, everything started.
It comes back to the same police force have to protect them.
But think about it.
Protecting them.
But when are we going to hold them accountable? How many incidences has taken place in this community where police has brought undue violence, undue force, and to yet and to this day you haven't seen officers
held accountable?
Yes. Remember there was an incident down on the Frederickson beach with a naked young man?
Yes.
Wait that. And did they bring the police?
But they do go through IAU.
But did they bring the police officer personnel record to bear and talk about all the other incidences he has had, whether it's in his personal or in his private life?
That would be part of the IAU investigation.
But he's still enforced.
I have heard multiple police commend that police and actually supported that shooting, that actual shooting.
Isn't he still under force?
If there was no finding of wrongdoing, if he acted within the course and scope and not with excessive force, then he's cleared.
How excessive
force? The only time it's bound
a big naked black man.
A naked man?
The only gun he have. The only thing the gun can do that he has.
Years back.
No, years back, about 7 years back.
I'm not going to go there because I represented the police union. I went in the motorcade with the officer.
Okay, enough said.
Justified and he was clear. Okay, I'm now saying this is not new, but I know what you're talking about. But it went through a course. It does have to go through the IAU, internal investigation, and I have seen over the years where some officers have been bound over to the AG's office for prosecution. So
I just think it's a little too political for me.
It may be.
Because I will tell you, I work in Frederickstead, and we had a set of officers in Frederickstead that every business owner knew. A set of officers, okay? They walked up and down King Street, up and down Queen Street, Prince Street, Strand Street, all the cross streets. Everybody in town knew. Nobody did anything because you never knew when they were Joshua, any one of them, Luby, and those would come around the corner because they were always in town. Politics got every one of them removed out of town. Every one of them out of town. Till the business owners had even signed petitions asking them to please return these officers. Because people knew who they were. And you felt comfortable and safe when they were in town because they were ever present.
And they knew the people.
Never happened. They brought a new set of officers that don't even come out. That's probably why you don't see them. Come out the substation that they're in.
Can I make a suggestion? I think what the police department needs to do is start to focus on structure. Change up the police department. Like the chief and the deputy chiefs, they need not to be political position. They need to be rank and file officer to move up, and that's rank, and that's you classified union position. Let the deputy commissioners and all those other people be exempt. Let those people remove the politics out of the actual day-to-day policing and let them do their jobs. And I'm going to see a change where people don't have to kiss to get a job or to get a promotion.
Right.
What we are witnessing, the current generation has been a work in progress. We have to realize that these set of people here, these set of young men here and young women who are doing these crimes were once children, we have to start addressing the children. We have to have the vision enough to see the issue is regarding the children and we address their needs.
But you see, you brought it up at a part. May I ask a question now? What is a 15-year-old doing out
at
with a
2 in the morning?
2 in the morning with a 20-year-old
and a 30-year-old?
And a 30-year-old.
A 15, of course.
No, may I,
A 15-year-old.
Yeah.
There is a curfew that should be enforced.
Of course there's a curfew, but who's enforcing the curfew? One, and two, his parents. Who is his parents?
Thank you.
And not only who is his parents. The reason I say who is his parents is because we know the situation regarding parents today.
No, don't say no. Don't say
this. I am not making an excuse.
You're making an assumption.
I'm not making an excuse for parents.
No, correct.
And not even an assumption really, because I know as a parent, my child ain't gonna be out 2 o'clock in the morning at 15 years old. I know that from my perspective. You understand? So,
and I understand that young man is no stranger to the delinquency for family court. He's always in there, from what I understand.
And then when you look at his home, it will tell you where the breakdown is.
Exactly.
Whether it's a single parent.
So, and this is why I say it's been a generation in the making. This is something that's been going on. It's just manifesting now. You're seeing it now.
It's the same thing for these young girls. At that underage, they out. They look like big grown women. And that's when we come right back to the situation when we're talking about.
Well, they're taking the lead now. When I first started in private practice and we were appointing a lot of family court cases, I usually got boys. There was a bunch of boys in and out. It's flipped. It's a whole bunch of girls now coming in and through the courthouse now. So they've taken over. I think they have taken over. I mean, some of these girls are rough. They're no joke. They're worse than the male counterparts that I have had to work with over a certain period of time.
We need to start looking and addressing the situation regarding the children, because what we see now in them public school and in school period at a younger age will manifest in the next 10, 15 years. And if you think it bad now, need another 10 and 15 years, because this situation been going on for years. When I've been a teenager, I know all the ignorance that used to happen. I could use myself as a person and example. I mean, in one as extreme as no, but I used to do all kind of foolishness innocently. But now it's terrible, and it's becoming, and it's going to get even worse if we don't address the children. The children is who are in need, and who we need to deal with. It still
goes back down to the homes that they're coming from, and the fact that they're coming from younger and younger parents. Younger and younger parents. I think children making children is coming to be the norm, and it's creating a crisis that's of a phenomenal nature that I don't know if we're prepared to deal with it. But be that as it may.
But that's because your great grandmother is 36.
Yeah,
that's why. Ain't gonna big mama. Your grandmother is 36.
And that's a good point.
In our young days, I used to hear a grandmother at 40 is ghetto, but now it's gone down.
It gone down.
I mean,
because people are having children at 12, they're 13 and 14, and so there's no real.
And then they throw baby showers for these children.
They're encouraging it.
And that's the challenge. I have an issue with parents not parenting, and parents not holding the children and holding themselves accountable. It's not somebody else's fault. Yes, I made a mistake. Be man and woman enough to say yes. Yes, you have a child, but just know this. I'm going to teach you responsibility, and I'm going to say, you ain't 18 yet. Even though you have a child in my house, you better know you're going to conform.
And if there's an addition to that too, because I have had family visiting over the Thanksgiving, and a mother and her daughter was visiting, and they were shocked that we had young ladies going to school pregnant and wearing maternity clothes. Because in the British system, you get pregnant, you're not going to go to school wearing school uniform, and almost like they see it as corrupting the other young ladies, like giving a message like this is okay, it's acceptable, and they just was amazed that we have that. I said, well, that's part of our culture, and that's how we do it. They don't separate them, but they said no, in the British system, it is not acceptable. That young lady has to remove herself from that system. If after she has a child and she wants to return, it's a different, but we're not sending that message. And maybe I think we need to kind of clamp down on our culture and the way that we are acclimating our young people.
We need to look at a lot of things, and that's how come I mentioned before about male, female schools. I talk about that. That's that. I believe that.
And so did what's your name?
Yeah, somebody else bring it up.
Centron.
And I agree with that. We should look into
that.
Well, that ties into this issue regarding Central High School and the burglary there over the weekend, or last weekend, of computers. I think the papers had it at $300,000 worth of stuff.
And you know, thinking of it,
how much is it?
It was $25,000, I think.
I think they overestimated or miscalculated the iPads at $12,000 each, but it was more like about.
Show me the receipts first.
So where?
No, honestly.
Part of the problem is this, gentleman.
Go ahead.
That appears to be an inside job.
Oh,
I mean, just listening to, I heard Mr. Malloy, the Insular Superintendent, on the news with it. You heard the specifics of what was going on, and they had surveillance tapes that they were looking at. They were looking at all of the, equipment that they were missing, etc. The person or persons came equipped with the proper
alarm.
They had the proper cutting tools and all of the different equipments that they need to access, the type of security, because I understand this was under tight security, and they had everything that they needed to get through the classrooms and inside and into that security vault and take out all of those things.
And I think the alarm was disabled.
Disabling the alarm. I mean, the whole thing says somebody knows what was going on.
Correct.
That's what the whole
You understand?
8% cut.
So that is a problem. And then again, who suffers? Our young people, because those were equipment and computers and supplies for their education and their future. And that's unfortunate. Will it ever be retrieved?
No.
Will anybody ever be
Prosecuted.
caught? Will anybody ever be prosecuted? And the beat goes on. And that's the problem we're facing.
But they have to be somewhere. I mean, the merchandise has to be in somebody else.
But
Somewhere.
let me say that.
I mean,
I've always had a problem, and I'm not going to say there are people that is because there are people who worked in education that were convicted that did this. But one of the things that I have a problem with Department of Education with is that people with records can end up working at the Department of Education.
I'm glad you said that.
And that should never be.
I'm glad you said that.
but they don't do any follow-up. They don't do any background.
I am glad that
I know people, I don't care where you work, even if you're mapping the floor, once you have a record, that eliminates you from a position at the Department of Education.
I'm glad you bring that up, because that's actually another situation regarding crime in the Virgin Islands. These people, so-called people with records, what do we do with them? You do a crime, you go to jail, you serve your time, you come out.
Rehabilitation.
And what? So you're saying that you don't hire them?
No, I'm not saying that.
You don't give them jobs?
I'm saying
So how
give
are
them
they
jobs.
supposed to provide? They don't have families as well?
No, I
Certain
said give them
jobs,
jobs.
I think
Certain jobs
certain
jobs
preclude
are
them.
jobs.
Certain jobs preclude
So they shouldn't be around
Like a
education?
sex abuser shouldn't be in a classroom teaching.
Yes.
That's a little
Yes.
extreme. That's a little
No,
extreme. That's a little
no,
extreme.
but
Just
think
a
about it.
I agree with that. That's a little extreme.
But a thief, you say the sex person cannot be rehabilitated. Who said thief can be rehabilitated?
Well, let me put it this way. I do not subscribe to the fact that the fact that you have a record automatically disqualifies you from work. I would not go there.
I think it's
What I think it is you have a system that is supposed to rehabilitate people that don't. These guys and girls
Yes.
go into Golden Grove and nothing happens at Golden Grove.
Thank you.
And check the
Does
record.
that-
Actually
so
come
no
out-
problem. Check
they
the
actually
worse
come out worse.
than when they went in.
90% of them are going there do not have a diploma.
Right.
They
A high school
learn
diploma.
things
So
in
check the
even
record.
though it's one of those things that's required, that the courts order it all the time, and get your GED or get your high school diploma,
of course.
but they don't get any of that. They don't get any of those things happen, so that when they come out, they are in fact rehabilitated. There's a line where they can go to work and get a job. The federal prison in Puerto Rico, they were talking about their program. In their prison, the federal prison there, they have all of these educational programs, jail to work programs, right? So when you're getting ready to come out, they already start lining up a place that when you come out, you have a place to go to work. Here, they don't even drop you off. They open the gate right out there and say, okay, have somebody come pick you up. And where do you go? You can't go in public housing because you have a record. Certain other places, your programs, you can't get anything for you to get housing, so there's no place for you to live.
You don't even have
Okay?
identification.
You have no place. You can't get identification. You have no place to get a job. So what do? Well, I was getting 3 meals. Yeah, it may not be the best situation, but I'm outside now and I don't have anything. I can't provide for my children. I can't do anything. Nobody would hire me. I'm going to go back to jail.
Right.
And that's what happens. Our recidivism rate is high in this territory.
I think they do have started, I don't know how long, but they do have some minimal programs, because I've met some young ladies I represented who doing here and there, and their hair is all, they come to court.
Yeah, but they don't
and
leave
stuff.
though. They don't. When they come out, they have no licensure, no license, no
So I
certification
thought
when
it
they
was
come out
oh, I was
to do
under the
it. Yeah, they're doing
impression
here
it
and
was
there,
like
but
a
they don't have.
certification
No,
program,
no.
training.
We need to look at the
Yeah.
Bureau of Corrections, and maybe, like you said, restructure. We need restructure.
It definitely needs to be
We
restructured.
need to
We need to
focus
restructure.
on that, because I've known situations where they have television sets in their cell phones. These
But wait,
let's
let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and talk more about that.
The solutions.
We'll talk about those solutions when we come back. Back in a moment. And welcome back to VI Voices. We're here discussing the hot topics of the week, and we were having a discussion on the Bureau of Corrections and the jail, what possible solutions we can have. What are some of the solutions we can actually have?
I was talking about restructuring the prison system itself in the Virgin Islands, making stuff compulsory, having certain compulsories in place that they do not have. For instance, I know for a fact they have cell phones, TV sets, and what's not inside.
But there are already rules for that. And apparently there is new law that says if you cover a cell phone, it's a felony, up to punishment of 5 years if you have someone in jail, because you're saying that hits and stuff was coming from the jail via cell phone. Right?
Well, let me put it. I would like to say about. Let me bring boy Jedi a little bit bigger. When you go into the prison, when you first enter the system, the correction system, you go through an indoctrination period. You don't no longer belong to yourself. You're now a prisoner.
You're now a number.
You're supposed to be isolated and treated like such for about 2 months. Then you're re-immersed back into the system, and then you're then put into the general population, and then you're put into those programs. Then there are penalties, because you must realize you're in prison. You no longer belong to yourself. Even the army is tougher than our correctional facility we have in the Virgin Islands. And we need to change that system up.
But our correctional system, they need to change the name, because we're not a correctional institution.
Right.
Okay? That's what we need to change.
We don't
because we're not doing anything to rehabilitate the people, so when they come out, they have a marketable skill, they're ready to be re-immersed back into the community.
I mean, you have to actually, do we actually put them to work?
That's it. We don't have a correction
center. St. Thomas have anything over there?
They have a detention center.
That's what I'm saying, they have a detention center, but the prison.
No, they have no prison.
So basically, if we're going to focus, if correction is about rehabilitation, one, eliminating those bad behaviors, and then rehabilitating you, and then transitioning you into society, then our system should reflect that.
Having programs though. Do they have any programs available for that? And not only that, like I was saying, being compulsory, make it mandatory. If not, you're going in a hole. And then a hole is like a 5x5 room.
So comprehensive.
You're talking about being in there. If you want to do anything, if you don't want to walk, or you don't want to go in a program, then you're going there.
What are people running the show?
Away.
Some of them
That's
from
the
away.
next thing too.
No, but
away.
No, stop.
Him in charge.
No, but think about it. Yes, we bring people from away, but the people who is ultimately in charge are from right here. And they have not, and they'll sit down with you and I drink rum, visit you.
Which people you're talking about?
I'm talking about those people who sit in the administration, these 15 senators, those people who sit on boards, those people are from right here. And what do? They laugh up with you. Then they go for the man from away, bring the man to run the thing, and the man don't pay close attention to us. And then when the system fails, we are left whole in the bag, and the millions of dollars to rehabilitate it and build it back up. And then what do we do again? Bring somebody else from away, and it's a cycle.
It's not so much of paying close attention, but it's a cultural disconnect. You can't bring somebody who wasn't raised here and knows our culture and how we do things and how we live, and plant them here and give them 6-figure salary and tell them make a change. It don't work like that. More likely than not, they're going to find rebelliousness. The people themselves that they have to deal with.
But how do we couple that with there's some other places? I don't know if it's the Bahamas. None of their offices are local. They purposely brought in and they're rotated. So you come and spend like 6 months or 9 months, and that is to remove any taint that go ahead. And so they don't have a really high crime rate because their officers they come in, they do a job, they go out, they come back. And that's how they do it. They don't have many local people within the police force. But I'm not sure I like that though. I'm not sure I like that though. Because there's something to, but I take that back. They know what does or does this, what this.
They don't have the same.
Matt thought of the idea, and he was vilified for saying that he was going to got upset with him for that because he wanted to do something like that, which is kind of a drastic move. But what do they do now in this administration? They bring somebody retired from New Jersey to run the entire department and set policy for the department.
But the thing about what Emil said earlier, Emil said to me, those officers who were present, some of the officers who were present here on the phone probably were bullied when they were in high school. But think about also tying into they were in academic training coupled with their vocational training. And sometimes the only training they have is the vocational training. And they lack the aptitude, the acumen to fit that. They lack. So, a lot of police departments in the nation
Require
require
college
32
degrees now.
credits
Degree.
of college courses.
Yeah.
Now remedial.
Yeah.
That's right.
And what they need to have a psychology and
Talking about
don't
psychology, what about the psychologist or the psychiatrist who's supposed to evaluate?
To certify them?
Right.
I don't know.
Not part of the cabal too.
But they had one of them that was he had some while back, he had some of them a fake.
Yeah.
That it was he pretended to be a psychiatrist.
You know, I mean, you touched on a thing with their comprehension, their acumen, whatever. I remember when I was a law clerk, you know, when we're doing advice of rights, the officer is supposed to come with their affidavit form, and that's how we determine whether or not to grant probable cause. There'll be days you get one of those reports, or even when they bring a warrant, we don't know who did what to who and when, because you can't figure out what they're saying. So it's all over the place. You don't know if the officer is the one that's saying that the officer did it or the person who they're talking about did it, because the writing was so bad. And it would be worse because then the judge will say, well, I'm not doing that. Let them call him on a preliminary hearing and stand. They come to the stand, and the officer cannot even articulate what it is he saw or what it is that he's doing. And you're trying to figure out.
I'm laughing, but I ain't funny.
No, it's not funny because at the end of the day, a judge has to say, well, I can't grant that because I don't know what happened. And then what happens now is that you have the police department that's saying, you see, the court is the people, they let people out and they let people do this, whatever. And it's not true.
And I can remember that. Remember when Judge Kendall was on the bench, a lot of the times you'd have heard a lot of coming out of a police department that this particular judge and the judicial system is the one who were at fault because we locked them up, but we arrested them. But the case is now been flung out of court. But they don't go in and tell you why it was flung.
Proper police work is key. I mean, the same thing comes down to jury trials. I mean, I've been
but it's not even so much. What they were also complaining about was his bail decisions, where he was granting these people bail. Now, at the time, he got major flack by everybody about his late part of all. But what ended up happening? The Supreme Court, clearly he was vindicated because the Supreme Court issued those 3 opinions as saying everybody gets bail. The only time you don't get bail is if you're charged with first-degree murder, and you can still get it if the proof is evident and the presumption is great that you did it, which means you have to go to a full hearing. And so if a judge determines, well, yeah, you can charge them, but it doesn't necessarily look like there's much proof that they did it, they're allowed to grant that person bail. And where is that? In the Revised Organic Act. Can we change it? No, not unless Congress has to change it.
Somebody was saying they want to make sure that people...
Judy Frick said that and when she comes on the show next week, we're going to ask about it. I'm going to have to let her know that she really can't do that bill because the Revised Organic Act won't allow her to. Where she wanted to say that anybody who's charged with a gun, anybody that's charged with a gun will be denied bail.
No.
I mean, you know.
But
denied or not even offered.
Denied, right, means you don't get it. But you won't be able to get that though, if under the current system that we have, because the Revised Organic Act says everybody gets bail, has a right to bail. And so, but you know, that's an important issue that I definitely want to talk about because it's something we have to look at as the crime rate goes up. We need to look at how are we rehabilitating people. When they leave Golden Grove, are they prepared to come back into our community?
But
are they? Are we going to be people as employers are we going to say, well, which it's illegal, by the way, to deny somebody employment because of a criminal record, as the only basis for it, depending on where they're going to work and what they're doing.
Because most applications do ask you, have you ever been convicted of a felony?
But let me say this. I think we're going to have to start to look at this, and we're going to have to start to talk about the legacy of this particular administration when it comes to crime and when it comes to moving forward. And I'm telling you, this legacy of this this administration is that it's going to be known for not addressing the quality of life issues and be known that it didn't address crime sufficiently nor education sufficiently. They kept passing the buck, and right now what we're dealing with, yes, we can't blame the administration for everything that has gone wrong, but they have not exercised good leadership in a time of need, and it's not been truly exercised.
And apparently, I don't think they even care about legacy at this point.
They've got what they want.
Based on the decision that
they're making. I've always.
We all agree that we're probably in the worst economic times ever.
Absolutely.
But they were manufactured. I'm going to say they were manufactured.
Let me say this: not only manufactured, but we had economic situation and a nation, as far as the nation is concerned. I've been hearing about this economic downfall since as early as maybe perhaps 2006. I've been hearing about this. No, we have leaders that are in place. I'm not in any kind of leadership position or any kind of representation, but I'm aware of the fact that they have economic crisis in America. We don't have leaders or representation that are aware of this, that are following up and current affairs of what's going on globally, and make decisions that reflect.
Well, they claim that they're traveling everywhere to learn things
and spending $500 for hotel, $500 a night for a hotel room. That thing is ridiculous. You have an administration that came in 2007, and the first thing this man do is spend $500,000.
We got
and his own property to enhance. Is that? Think about it.
Let me tell you why I say it's manufactured. We have the legalized drug that everybody in bad economic situation turn to. In Atlanta, yes, everybody go to Atlanta. Atlanta increase their fees, their taxes and rum. Every local in the nation increase their fees and rum. We produce it right here. We are like the cocaine dealers in Colombia. And how come we are not rich like everybody else?
Somebody did
because they've given 46% of our cover money back to a private company.
But look at that. Are they doing anything that's going to be beneficial to the Virgin Islands?
Here's my position, and I'm no economist, but I knew in 2007 when you came into office, we weren't where we were. The United States was. Right. They had already almost been on that cliff. It hadn't trickled down to us yet. So we had enough time to put in all kind of measures so that in 2010 we wouldn't be to a place where we were terminating people. Okay? It's like seeing the fire over there and it's like coming, and we have enough chance to dig a ditch. So by the time it gets there, it will just dissipate.
So what would happen if we didn't even see the fire?
But you're right. What would have happened if we didn't see it? But that's not what the case. They ridiculous. Knew that these things were going to happen. You saw gas prices going up to ridiculous amounts that it should not have gone up to. Right. We should have been able to do that. Remember when Cyril King, well, I was young then, but when Cyril King first went into office, Cyril King laid off a whole bunch of people. But you ask anybody who was the best governor we ever had, and they'll tell you Cyril King. Right. Even though he laid off people. But why did he lay off people? He laid off people because as he went into office, he recognized we can't afford all these people. And I can't keep you on now, so I'm going to need to let some of you go so I can keep the government moving. Eventually, some of those people got their jobs back. But he had to do that to protect what? The entire territory. I maintain the last statesman type governor we had was Alex Farrelly as a statesman. When you look at what a governor is like, how they operate, how they behave, that's a statesman governor. The last governor we had, that was one of those governors that was in there that things got done for regular people, was Juan Louis. Remember, he was Cyril King's lieutenant governor. And so he was a long-serving governor. That's how we got the hospital. That's how we got all the kinds of things that you wanted for your community. Schools built. Also, he did when he was governor. And he took on what Cyril King started.
And if you think about it, the last part of Juan Louis' legacy was Complex.
Yes.
Complex was the last part of his legacy. And think about, he was out of office about what, a good 8 years by then.
It didn't build until, I mean, it was there, but he determined that there needs to be another high school on St. Croix.
And the only place is they just didn't put it in where you.
But we don't have it anymore.
Speaking about him, what do you guys think about the bill that they proposed for his wife?
No. See, that's where
We don't even have enough money.
Thank you. And that's where these working men and women should have started to kick all them out. Because she didn't work a day in her life.
After the election.
After the election, it just happened the other day, you know.
But
This is the second go round.
They put it in and they challenged and knocked it out.
Knocked it out. Right.
Now we're in lame duck. They ain't coming back.
They put it back in again?
Put it back in.
Your partner's bro, I think, is who put it in, right?
Yeah, but you know, let me tell you something. Here's a problem I have with that. I don't know Mrs. Louis.
It's not about her.
I don't know her personally.
Right, it's not about her.
Here's my problem. You tell my teachers that I represent, you have to take 8% of their salary, okay? Because you got the money. You now tell people who say to you, I need to retire. And they're retiring because they're going to be penalized. If they stay past 50 years, instead of paying 8%, they have to pay 11% of their money, right? You tell them they have to leave. So they say, okay, I'm going to leave. And then you wait and tell them, oh, by the way, the government hasn't been paying your half, the other half of what you used to be paying. So instead of getting a random number, instead of getting 40,000, you only get 20. And if you want the 40, you need to go put in all the money the government didn't put in.
Right.
And you went turn around and give Juan Louis' wife,
Who hasn't worked for it.
has never worked for the government of Orleans, has never put in money anywhere. Is it 75% of?
Right, something like that.
Of wait, get it right. Ain't even the salary that Juan Louis made. 7% of the governor's salary, which is $150,000. When Juan Louis left office, he made $45,000 a year.
Wow.
So she's gonna get $112,500 a year, more money, 3 times the amount that her husband made when he was governor.
And then enough to make you sick.
Honestly,
Do you understand?
would I
Then
say
enough
yes?
to make you sick.
No, it doesn't.
It's not.
No, it doesn't make me sick. Good for them. Want to know why?
Good for who?
Good for those
Good for
people.
us.
No.
I
Good
don't
for
pay
those.
taxes.
No. See me?
Who's them? Us?
I am an agitator, and those union members sat idly by and let those same folk get back in the legislature. Those people who are members of SIU, SW, USW, AFT, PBA, serve all of them right. Because only thing they think about, oh, you're my friend. I fry fish for you and give me $10
And they gave
down
me
to the
chicken
table.
in 1989.
Thank you. So take what you get.
I mean,
Come first when we're taking it.
Clint, you're
But
right,
take
though.
what you
But,
get.
I mean, I think it's to the point. When do you get to your tipping point that it got to stop?
Oh, I've been to
because I mean, you are, but I mean, for regular people, I have seen people who can't pay their bills,
Yeah.
and so they can't get paid for months, or even though they submitted the retirement forms, because they don't have the $20,000 to
Right.
put into retirement so that they can retire.
This is really
Nor
sad.
can they afford to go on retirement for the part that they put in to the system.
So do we not see
And
all
now
of this
turn
add into the
around.
crime situation?
Of course it does.
Soon-
All of that adds to the crime that we have, because you know what's
But
happening.
remember we had-
I see that you have and I don't have, so I need to take from what you guys.
That's
Remember
right.
we had the big issue when Congresswoman was trying to bring in the CFO?
Yeah.
Do you think that we need?
So do what?
No.
This is what?
No.
Totally
No.
money don't
Want me to
get.
tell you why?
That was a political
Again,
Money don't get.
the Congresswoman, no, I can
I
say
mean,
this.
do we need a third party to really oversee
No.
our spending?
I need a U.S. attorney who will
control?
charge people for crimes.
Think
Yes,
about
yes,
it.
yes.
That's what I need.
The first 6 years of this administration,
I
need that
the
too.
That's what I
CFO
need.
was dead. The Congresswoman didn't do anything. 2 years, the last 2 years of this administration, when they're lame duck, that's when she bring it again.
But do
Yes,
we
sir,
have
our
a
program.
funding issue? Do we have a mismanagement?
Mismanagement and
Mismanagement.
corruption.
And corrupt. You're right. I mean, and
You know,
corruption. It's not that this. It's
not
not that
funding.
this territory is without resources and
There's
money.
money to
that we
circulate
can't
around
get.
here.
I have maintained the unions took the government to court on these contracts with 8%. Okay. The judge at the district court says, "Oh well, there was major issues, major problems. The government have no money, so they're allowed to breach the. Oh, not just a breach. I take that back. Not breach the contract, but they're allowed to have these changes to the contracts and doesn't violate the contracts clause of the United States. Okay, the government only affected public contracts. Okay, where you really don't have that much money. 46% of your cover over money goes to rum factories, right? In addition to the fact that you are paying the $1 subsidy for the molasses, right? Which is $1.16, and you paying $1 off the $1.16, which means they're making rum and making money
Right.
after us. You give them
Land.
250.
$250.
You bill the place,
Give
and
them
if I
that,
want
they own
it,
that.
I gotta buy it back from you.
Right.
Even though they were building
But
a
we gave them the
$1
$250, let's not forget we gave them
distillery in Europe.
$250
Okay?
250
All
million. We floated bonds for that.
You're right. Why did the government not affect the private contractor? So you know what, Diageo, you know what, Cruise and Rum, we are giving you this amount of stuff, right? But we can't afford it. Right. So now we can only give you 20%, and that's how we're going to do. Let them take you to court. So if the judge already said you could do it, why do you care to take you to court?
That's a good
That's
point.
my point.
Yeah.
And then you would have saved millions and millions of dollars from someplace you really could get money from. But nobody was concerned about that. They were only concerned about doing what? Taking 8% from the working man, these union employees, and still firing you.
But I know the same leaders of the union people are saying is that we are better. We can't let this Diageo thing rest. No, it's not about we cannot let it rest. We have made some bad decisions, and those bad decisions have brought us to this point.
Absolutely.
Right here. And if the government of the Virgin Islands,
and the
Senate have made some bad decisions. Let me give an example. Look when the Senate decided to cut all of those frivolous things. Now, when Celestino is not in there, when Dow isn't in there, they no longer need the free phone, but the other people don't need the free phone, so they're going to cut it. No, come on. Let's be fair. If the phone was a problem, it's a problem now. Wasn't it a problem 2 years ago when they started to cut the people's salary by 8%? Where were the austerity measures? And that's the problem with
But you know what though? I still blame voters.
Yeah, amen. I blame
because in 2010, how you and tell me you gonna give me retroactive money with my own money?
Yeah.
And you would borrow $40 million from the GRS to give me retroactive money. That's like me, like you, owing me money. I say, you know what? I mean, I'm gonna give you back the $100 I owe you. And I said, okay, great. You go to the bank, withdraw the $100 from my account. I said, here's your $100. I said, thank you, boy. And I mark up, he no longer owes me. With my money, that's what they did. And what did we do in November? Voted everybody back in. Because why? Oh, they give me my retroactive money. With money that was mine.
And that's the unfortunate situation. That's the unfortunate predicament that we're in, because they are aware of the fact that the electorate are ignorant. We're ignorant to a lot of things, and we don't even study nothing except Princess Show and Queen Show. That's all we study.
What bright side?
We have the 30th legislature on the horizon.
Well, we're going to know tomorrow when they announce what the budget look like if this is a proper.
Listen, we don't have problems already regarding the 30th legislature.
I don't think
see it already.
I don't think they're coming to my rescue.
From the day after elections,
a little bit more.
From the 7th.
No, please.
Remember this.
Guys.
Remember what I saying tonight.
Guys.
From the 7th. Actually, after the election night, I don't see that we're going to have problems.
Yeah, they're going to bury us. I don't
based
see
on the
them
decisions that they make. Based on those who they appoint.
They're going to, like for instance, the things that they didn't touch in this last legislature, boy, oh boy, they're going to touch it. And they're going to touch it good.
And that's why we'll be monitors of what they're doing here at Fair Voices and out them as they attempt to do so. But you just mentioned something about Prince and Princess. Excuse me, not Prince and Princess. The Princess show. Well, it was, whatever.
They probably need to just stop those shows.
Well, not probably, Natalie. They need to, at least the Duchess section.
So
because...
And these poor, beautiful little princes, they are all...
Why do they need to stop the show with them? I enjoy
because
it.
Let's hear.
The sportsmanship, everybody cannot win.
Truly.
And the sportsmanship and the example that these young children
you had ambulance
be subjected to
and police.
Somebody get beat down.
Heart-wrenching.
Meanwhile, with all of that, all I'm saying is that all of you laughed at me the last time of the show when I said I don't do that kind of queen show because people can't lose. And then when you win, they crying and somebody say everybody's winners. No, if you're not the one wearing the crown, then you're not the winner. But people need to learn how to lose. And so when it comes to those kids, they don't have a concept of that because their adult parents are teaching them something different. That you're a loser when you don't
parents
win.
are not teaching them anything. It's all about the parents. It's that ego-driven thing. My child this, my child that. What's the purpose of a prince and a princess? What's the purpose of a queen?
The young child is perfectly satisfied with where they ended up.
Yeah,
right.
They are
it's the parents
and devastated though by how the parents acted.
And I think after the
behavior, children are happy because they participated.
I think after the behavior at this last show with some of these parents, the festival committee should really think about cutting out that Duchess show because it's really not
Last year they were on the verge of being sued by one of the young girls.
What happened to that?
So I don't judge those shows because I would be in-house counsel at Golden Grove. Anybody come carrying on with me because your child didn't win and you tell your child should have win.
You judge, sir?
I've judged before, but I stopped doing it. And you know, they always ask you, what judges, you want to leave? No, I don't need to leave. I can stay right here. As none of their parents crazy enough to come up to me with an ignorance.
How can I think about yourself?
They say what they want. Don't touch me. Yeah, but I will be in-house counsel at Golden Grove in the event that ever happens.
Yeah, I have judged some of those shows too. And I remember one show was judging, and they were ushering out the judges with police escort.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What is this about?
Hey, I'm with Emil.
The show is over. The winner has been crowned.
I on one show, I was the only judge sitting down in the thing.
I am with Emil right now, and I've done that. No, I've done.
I think we should continue the Queen Show thing, the Queen Show concept. But what I do think though is that we should educate the participants as to what a queen really is, historically speaking. What queen was.
Well, we have one. Natalie was Miss St. Croix before, right?
As a matter of fact, we have on Sunday.
Miss St. Croix.
Miss St. Croix pageant, and they're bringing back as many of the 60 past queens or 58 past
queens. So let me ask you, were you guys educated as to what the queen concept, historically or culturally speaking?
But you're talking different.
I'm talking about once you were labeled a queen coming up around here in the Virginia. I'm talking about 17th, 18th century. Once the woman was labeled a queen, you making up your face.
You said 17th, 18th century? Yeah. She died when she waited.
No, what I'm saying. Okay. Let me clarify.
Please, oh God, man.
What I am saying is that once you were labeled a queen in that time, I mean, it was a big responsibility. It had a lot of duty that carried with being a queen.
Absolutely.
I don't think today's queen and the contestants, I think
the 90s was the last time that we had like queen shows where you went to and everybody was kind of really good. So now you go to Queen Show, you don't know who I went because you get one person that's really standing out. But not that they're popular, but that they're ready and they know what they're doing. Before, you could have gone to Queen Show and you didn't really know who I win. But even though the person you might want didn't win, it was kind of okay because they all really did really well.
The question I was asking is,
and they were talented.
They educated how regarding was a queen or what?
Not directly, but indirectly. Because your mentors or anybody that you dealt with had a certain way they carry themselves and certain expectation that they had of you. So certain things that I see now, we didn't have that then. Even among the girls, there's no fighting and backbiting, and it was just a competition. You know, somebody got to win, and everybody doing their best to win. I think I had about 7 girls when I ran, and it was like a close show.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, somebody had to win.
You know? My cousin was in a show and she roller skated for her talent.
Hey, roller skate.
You know, so it is what it is.
I don't know what year she was in it.
I want to wish the girls who are running, who are.
But she enjoyed the show though.
But listen,
I read something the other day.
Listen to this. People sit in the audience and they tease and they boo and they laugh, but it takes a lot of courage of these young women to get up there and do what they have to do. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of work and a lot of time.
And I know character. It gets them ready for life.
It really does. And then you become an ambassador for the Virgin Islands. You really represent. So it does mean a lot.
Somebody raised an issue that I was reading, and they were talking about people or young women who are running for queen or vying for the position. Should they have a child?
Well, it varies, because there's certain shows you cannot have a child.
No.
Miss St. Croix is one. You can't have a child. You can't be married.
Yeah, there's misses that do those things, but Miss.
You can't have a child and you can't be married. There's an age, I think it's 17 to 25, no children never married. Versus I'm Every Woman is a different
So you have prerequisites, you have requirements.
Yeah, it depends on the kind of show that you're running for.
Depends on the type of show
and some of them, like there are Mrs., which means they expect you to be married or have children. And then you have the I'm Every Woman show where it's anybody open.
And I believe
the big show.
These high school shows and the university. They should stick to having this no child requirement.
And a certain GPA, that's not true.
I think they should, but I don't know about Miss St. Croix. But I know
about that now.
I hear somebody question the answer when they go.
Back in our days, though, we couldn't be failing.
Well, I think that the girls this year are some really strong girls.
Yes,
a strong set of
couple
girls that are
college students are in there, and talent.
It reminds me of remember the days of Miss Talented Team.
Oh, hey.
When the last Saturday in May, you knew you were going to center for Miss Talented Team, and everybody that was running were people who any one of them could have been the winner for that show.
But if you think about
the quality, were different.
You could look at the quality of the competitions. I think they've gone down because even in both islands, because I can remember St. Thomas at one time used to put out some excellent queens because they would go to JCs and they would bring them the crown every year.
We ain't doing them thing no more. Nothing ain't going on.
Yeah, JC is still going on.
No, we ain't sending people doing those things. Are we still sending people?
Yeah, we're sending them, but they're not.
Did I win?
No, they're not winning.
Then we ain't sending nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow night we're gonna have on the show. We're talking about some festival music.
Then and now.
We're gonna have King Derby and Rashidi Clements and some other people on the show.
Natalie's gonna wear a crown.
Natalie,
you guys.
yes, bring your crown tomorrow. Bring your crown tomorrow. Bring your crown tomorrow. And so
I still have my crown.
bring it tomorrow because you're gonna be our queen for tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for being on VI Voices. Thank you for listening, and we remember your voices are here to be heard. Make a difference. Good night, everybody.